For 2 decades, the Whitmore estate stood as a monument to wealth, its chandeliers gleaming, its halls draped in heavy silence. Eleanor Whitmore, once the vibrant heart of the family, had been confined to a wheelchair after a sudden illness stole her ability to walk. One night, she was twirling at a gala in a golden gown. By dawn, her legs no longer obeyed her. Specialists from New York to Geneva offered polished promises, but delivered the same grim prognosis. She would never walk again. At first, Eleanor fought, chasing therapies and experimental treatments. But hope slipped away, and she withdrew into herself. A proud woman reduced to a fragile figure in silk, wheeled from window to window, her once meticulous hair now often left loose. Her son, Daniel, ensured her comfort, hiring the finest nurses. But even he had accepted the wheelchair as her permanent reality, a throne and a cage in one. Then came Grace. In her mid-30s, Grace carried a quiet strength, unfazed by the estate's grandeur or the Whitmore name. On her first day, when Eleanor snapped at her for rearranging books, Grace didn't cower. "I moved them so you could reach them, ma'am," she said calmly. That simple act pierced Eleanor's guarded exterior. Grace saw what others missed. Eleanor's trembling hands, her lingering gazes at old photos of herself dancing, the way her voice tightened passing the ballroom she hadn't entered in years. Grace didn't just tend to her. She listened. One quiet evening, finding Eleanor weeping, clutching her blanket, the old woman whispered, "Do you know what it's like to feel buried while still breathing? My son doesn't even think I can try anymore." Grace knelt beside her, voice steady. "You're not buried. You're alive. Your body hasn't forgotten. It just needs reminding." Eleanor scoffed. "Reminded? After 20 years? You think you can do what doctors couldn't." Grace's eyes held firm. "Not me. Your will." Thus began a quiet rebellion. Grace started small, stretching Eleanor's legs, massaging atrophied muscles, coaxing tiny movements. Eleanor resisted, pain and frustration flaring, her hands gripping the chair as she snapped, "Enough of this." But Grace persisted, calm and unyielding, speaking to Eleanor not as a patient but as a woman with fire still inside. She shared her own stories of struggle, of being underestimated. "People see what they want," Grace said, kneading Eleanor's calves. "Only you decide what you're capable of." Slowly, Eleanor responded. When her toes twitched, she gasped. When her foot lifted an inch, tears fell. "I thought it was gone," she whispered. Grace, steadying her legs, smiled. "It was waiting." The sessions grew intense. Eleanor sweated, cursed, wept through the pain, but a flicker of hope returned. She kept it secret, fearing failure or doubt from others, guarding her fragile bond with Grace. One stormy evening, after weeks of effort, Eleanor gripped Grace's hands, her legs shaking, sweat beading on her brow. "One more step," Grace urged. "You can do this." Eleanor pushed upright, her feet finding the carpet, her heart pounding. "I'm standing," she gasped, tears mixing with disbelief. Grace's eyes shone. "Yes, and soon you'll dance." Eleanor laughed, a sound from her younger self. "You said I'd dance. Let's not wait." Grace hesitated. Eleanor was exhausted, but the old woman's resolve was fierce. "If I fall, I fall. But if I don't try, I'll never live again." Nodding, Grace guided her into a slow turn. Eleanor's steps were clumsy, her satin nightgown swaying, but they found a rhythm. A shuffle became a fragile dance. "I remember this," Eleanor whispered, joy breaking through. Grace, eyes glistening, said, "Don't let it go." They moved in the lamplight, Eleanor's white hair glowing, her spirit reclaiming her frail frame. Unseen, Daniel entered, stopping cold. His mother, his fragile, broken mother, was standing, dancing, her hand clutching Grace's. Her face was alive, radiant. Grace guided her with unshakable devotion. Daniel's breath caught. He'd spent fortunes on specialists, but this was a miracle. "Mother," he whispered, voice breaking. Eleanor faltered, fear flashing, but Grace's grip steadied her. Chin high, tears shining, Eleanor said, Daniel, I told you I felt buried. Look at me now. I'm alive. His eyes blurred. How? Before Grace could answer, Eleanor's voice cut through, trembling but firm, because she refused to let me rot. She saw me. She believed when I couldn't. The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling. Daniel looked between them, the reborn fire in his mother and the woman who'd done the impossible. A bond forged in quiet defiance had brought Eleanor back to life.